Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport roundup. It's actually a really exciting weekend considering there's no proper racing going on, and I don't mean to be disrespectful about anyone that was racing last weekend, but there's a bit of Formula One news. Hang on, what are you interrupting me for? I'm doing an intro.
Is it someone's birthday today, Paul?
Well, it might be. It might be a birthday. And for those who are listening the traditional way, I've got a little pink hat on and a banner behind me on my mirror that got slagged off last week.
Your mirror. Someone commented below. I like that. More comments below about Paul's
We love
mirror.
the comments.
And how old are we today then, Paul? Well, you've got to tell us, was it 40 now or what? 39?
Oh, I wish. Well, I'll tell you, my head feels like I'm 22. My back feels like I'm 72, but I'm in the middle. Am I in the middle? Is my maths any good? I'm 52. 52
Probably
today,
not.
so.
Probably not. Well, congratulations, Paul.
Thank you very much. Time to move on very swiftly, I think. And guess who's back?
Yes.
Lewis is back. I've been gone. Now I'm back. There was a big controversy this weekend because the first time he's broke his social media silence over the weekend.
He's back in the Grand Canyon. I mean, I don't know. He's in the Grand Canyon. It's not really back unless he's been there before. I presume it means he's going to coming back racing, but it's a bit of a vague teaser, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah,
Classic bit of Lewis teasing.
But I think that's a strong indication that he's going to be on the grid.
I'm sure he will. Yeah,
there's no question about that, in my opinion. And
as long as someone's not on the pit lane, I think. Yeah. I still think if Masi stays on, I don't think. Everyone seems to like Masi, and I'm sure he'll be working for the FIA. But I just think because of what happened, even if he's a lovely bloke and everything went fine, they just got to. Okay, go sit over there for a year, Masi. You could be another job. Let's just put someone else in the front line so that.
Masi,
there's so many really angry fans. If Masi's there, they'll all be putting banners up, and the sport just needs him to be put sideways for a while.
Well, on Twitter, there are lots of people saying they're going to boycott Formula One, which I don't think people will, because there is still such an allure there. And if you're a Lewis fan and Lewis is racing, what do? You're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face. And as frustrating as it is, and there's no question, everybody agrees that he made a mistake. I think he's got to go. You think he's got to go. I think the lion's share of people do. But it'd be interesting what Bin Sulayem.
Bin Sulayem. But I mean, again, we're all waiting. I mean, the rallying hasn't got a director yet. They've already started the Monte Carlo rally. Formula One hasn't got a director publicised yet. And he's busy. He's gone off and set up all these committees because I hate this word as well. He's created these key elements in his road map. I hate that word, road. I don't know why I hate road map. It's a plan. What's wrong with the word plan? Was it Trump that started road maps when he was invading somewhere or another? I don't know where this word road map came from. I mean, a road map is a road map. A plan is a plan. So,
yeah, but if you say no, you get your ducks in a row. You're making a road map. I don't know. I don't. I'm not a hater. I don't hate anything.
Bin Sulayem's plan is set up 3 working groups now: a CEO recruitment group, a governance review recruitment, a financial review group, working groups. And we all know what groups take. They take months to do anything, And okay, he wants to reorganise the FA. He's looking for a CEO. That's the first thing. And funny enough, what I like, one person of the CEO recruitment working group is one of the FIA vice presidents by the name of Fabiana Ecclestone, who's from Brazilian's representative, happens to be married to some bloke called Bernie. Well, if she's looking for a CEO for Formula One, I know the perfect person, your husband. Get Bernie back.
Hey, doesn't Bernie have the birthday day after you? Am I right in that? He's 10 years older.
Yeah, later October. Yeah, 10 years older, yeah. No, 20 years older. Derek Bell's 10 years older.
Wow.
Bernie Eccleston 20 years older.
But
so anyway, he's recreated the stuff for the FIA, but nothing what the fans all want to hear. No news on that.
It's not the reshuffle; it's the no news. He has. Why is it taking so long? We're already into February, well into February. February the 7th, quite a monumental day, if you didn't know. But we're very well into the year, and to say they're not going to announce it until just before the first race of the season is ludicrous, and I think it's insulting to everybody involved in the sport and all the fans as well.
First new car launch, Haas sort of launched some photos, but we don't think the cars will actually look like. I do like they are smooth-looking cars, except for that wing. And I'd love to get hold of Pat Simmons, who's the aerodynamicist that's been working with Ross Brawn and created this formula. Because when we had ground effect, I raced Formula One in ground effect, 70s, 80s, the designers were almost going to no front wings. We had tiny little tabs to get more air. So when they talked about ground effect coming back, I assumed the wings would finally look smaller, but instead they're bigger than ever. And again, I hate the fact they go to the outside of the wheels, because I think they look much prettier. A, they'll get hit and they'll be first corner and then fiberglass, carbon fiber everywhere. And I think they'd look so much better if the wing end plates was on the inside of the front wheels. But they're ugly, great front wings. Whereas the rest of the car, I think, looks gorgeous. I do think they look good. And hopefully they'll be able to follow each other and race
They're
well.
Big cars now. Tiff did an amazing video on the main YouTube channel with the Rolls-Royce Phantom, which is a huge car, probably one of the biggest production cars in the world. And it was fascinating what you said on there. The same floor plan, the same dimensions, length and width as a Formula One car. A Rolls-Royce Phantom, one of the biggest cars you can possibly imagine. They're big cars now, but it does. I agree. The Haas car looks exceptionally good. But there's not that much else. Yeah, apart from the nose. But the rear wings are quite interesting as well, because you think they clearly got to create downforce, but also reduce drag. So it's always getting that balance right, isn't it?
Yeah. Of course, we can't see them when they come out of Spain, because that's one thing the Formula One have done. They're hiding in Spain when they first tested a couple of weeks' time. But never mind.
Anyway. Well, another thing as well, Tiff. The wings that are on there and all the little bits aero, they're going to change when it comes to testing anyway, because they're not going to show the world what really it's going to be with all the little bits of aero and stuff. So
anyway, good as your birthday for you has been today. Someone had a fantastic birthday yesterday. His 17th birthday, Zak O'Sullivan, won the Autosport, the Aston Martin Autosport VRDC Awards. It was fantastic news for him. It's actually fantastic news for British motorsport, because he was an outsider. Everyone was raving about Ollie Behrman. I was saying this, Johnny Edgar. They've both been winning Formula 4 championships in Germany and Italy. In fact, but they're all karters. They've all done the European, German, Italian karting. And when Zak O'Sullivan, without as much money or backing, he just stayed in Britain. He did Formula 4 and they did Formula 3. And he won the Formula 3 championship last year, age 16. And it's a great fillip for Jonathan Palmer, really, because he kept Formula 3 going as a British Formula 3 championship, then told by the FIA, you've got to call it GB3, which he did. And then he's created GB4 for next season. And they're about half the price of the F4 that's in the TOCA championship, which is a really expensive formula. And I think the feeling is, I know Karun Chandok I spoke to about the Formula 4 cars, how the budgets are going up for the BTC Formula 4 package. And he was saying, well, Tiff, we've got to compete with the Italians and the Germans to get the young drivers to come and bring their budget to Britain. Because British Formula 3 used to be the leading Formula 3, Chico Serret and Senna, they all came to Britain to do Formula 3. So it's fantastic that Zak O'Sullivan, who hasn't had a huge budget to go off on the continent, has claimed this award, having only raced in Britain up until now. And so hopefully that'll be a thing for the future, that there'll be more trust in the value of doing GB3 and GB4 with smaller budgets to prove how good you are, to get the attention of people for the future. So great news for British single-seater racing and for Zak O'Sullivan in particular.
Well, that sounds really positive. Do you know what Zak's going to do next year? Has he got already confirmed seats?
Yeah, it's Formula 3 with Carlin. Carlin did the GB3 car. And he's got a Williams, Williams Junior. I'm not quite sure. He's associated with Williams, which is nice. They recognise how talented he is. But I'm surprised. I thought, Ollie Behrman, he's done so well. He won the F4 in Italy and Germany. So this kid that's won 2 continental championships got overshadowed by the British GB3 champions. So it's a good one up for British motorsport and Jonathan Palmer's single-seater series.
Very good. Good news to hear. And a couple of other awards. Some Dutch bloke got International Driver of the Year. So
did he?
Who was that? Yeah.
But more importantly, Ash Sutton got National Driver of the Year. Well done, Ash.
Ash is brilliant. Good,
but normally, it's one of those predictable things. It's like the touring car champion every year wins the National Driver of the Year. Not diminishing though, Ash. It's still a great achievement.
Before we move on to the Race of Champions, I got something very special to show anyone who's watching on YouTube. So Oliver, who you know very well, he's just gone because he doesn't want to be on here. 10 years old, and he's baked me himself all on his own this birthday cake. How good is that?
Is there enough chocolate on it, Paul? Have you got enough chocolate on the cake there?
You're only 52 once, Tiff. So
well
a
done,
beautiful
Ollie.
chocolate birthday cake made by my 10-year-old son, Oliver. So, Race of Champions, and surely this...
Yeah.
We talk about Lewis Hamilton as being a GOAT, and Sebastian Vettel, and Ayrton Senna, and all these Formula One drivers, but my goodness, what has he achieved?
This little French bloke, Loeb, Seb Loeb, simple little name. Did you watch? I find this Racing Champions a funny thing. It's a
I
TV
like it. I enjoy it.
Do you? I mean, when it started, Michel Mouton began it, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, the Canary Islands, I think. There was a seriously scary stage down a valley in the outdoors, you know, and that was really impressive. And they brought it indoors, these stadium events where they go round. And it's so same. I mean, dear old Jack Nicholls, you know, the Formula E, he was the commentator, and he tries to big it up, but it's just every event. And of course, one lap's quicker than the other. And he kept on saying, of course, he's now got the quicker second lap. Yeah, we know, Jack, all right. Whereas Harry, my son, we were watching it and we worked out that at the end of the first lap, if you got a 2-second lead, that would be enough to win it.
Yeah.
But if it was a 1-second lead, it would be neck and neck at the finish. We worked out that thing. But Jack just kept on saying, he's now on the quicker lap. I mean, I don't know, but it also being in the snow, it was so slow. You know, they haven't got any real speed. I mean, it's fascinating. What I love about it is just seeing all these great stars getting together, having a laugh.
Exactly.
And that's what I like about it. The actual action's a bit same, and a bit dull. But, you know, to see, what was it, Petter and his son, Ollie, who won the Nations Cup for Norway on the Saturday. That was a wonderful combination. And beating them, coming second in the final, quite surprised, Colton Herta and Jimmy Johnson. I mean, Jimmy's done a lot of these. I think it's Colton's first one over in America. Yeah, showing up a lot of Scandinavians and Finns and doing an amazing job.
On the snow.
Colton Herta. If there's going to be an American Grand Prix driver the next 2 or 3 years or 4, it's Colton Herta. He's an outstanding talent. Heard it here first. Then for Germany, it was a nice twist for the German team for the Nations Cup because Sebastian Vettel had Mick Schumacher. And of course, when Sebastian first in Racing Champions, he had Michael Schumacher as his senior. So little Sebastian Vettel joined Michael Schumacher. Now it's the other way around. Britain had the wonderful David Coulthard, always entertaining, and he's just a lovely bloke. And he's still quick. You know, he comes out every year, does this Racing Champions.
Well, you're still quick, and you're a lot older than these.
But he had Jamie Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick came in to represent Britain, and she had a bit of a mixed day, poor girl. Because it is so slow, and she had a really embarrassing, she had like a 5-mile-an-hour crash in the Porsches, which knocked us out of the Nations Cup. And then, I mean, I've been off into the sandbanks when I went into Norway to those Porsches, and with this light front end, unless you've got to flick into a hairpin, she just had a plough understeer. And you sort of, if you kick it too much on the throttle, you'll just spin it straight away. And so she just had this sort of 5-mile-an-hour pathetic looking, but it's so hard. It looks so silly. But I know I felt so for her because I've been in there, you know.
In the snowbank, not the sandbank.
But then she beat Mick Schumacher into buggies, so she had one up. But then she again ended up in a sandbank for her individual race. What did I say? The snowbank. No sandbank. But it was on a beach. That's what confused me. It was on a Swedish beach. It didn't look very beach-like, I admit. But then she ended up. And again, she made a tiny error, which I sort of analysed being the commentator. Because she was really good. She was using the handbrake. It was a rally car. But she was on a bit of a Scandi flick to turn right. But the car was turning left. And she just pulled the handbrake a fraction of a second too early before the car was beginning to turn right. So, of course, that turned her more left and boom, into the snowbank again. Anyway, it was great to see her there. Emma Kovalainen, another W Series woman, she was out there with Mika Hakkinen. Always good to see him back, the Finnish team. Helio Castroneves, that name you can never forget. Helio Castroneves, winner of the Indy 500, and more recently straight from the 24 Hours of Daytona. And
also known as Thingy to his mates.
Thingy. So lots of stars. It is lovely to see him relax and come over and do those sort of events. But
settled him well, didn't he?
Yeah, he's always quick, isn't he? You know,
yeah.
Well, he got beaten by Gamer, whose name I have forgotten. Sorry, Gamer. The very first race, a Gamer beat him in a rally car, who'd never been out rallying in his life. Who'd just been in a mate. I mean, some of these gamers, they do have this skill to just jump from a simulator into the real thing and do amazingly well. You know, so
amazing.
So sort of,
but Loeb the GOAT.
Yeah, Sebastian Loeb. I mean, it's just, you know, to go from the sands of Saudi Arabia to finish second in the Dakar to then winning that Monte Carlo rally, you know, when he hasn't done a rally for a year or more. and then to come and, you know, I mean, he just looks so good on the, you know, every race. Just he is the go. I think, you know, he's done Le Mans, finished second at Le Mans. He's won 4 international GT races, so he's done a lot on tarmac, and probably a bit too old now for getting back into the full-on.
Well, you know what? He's won pretty much everything, and Caterham told me that they've got a few guest drives this year for the 420, the top, like, proper fast race cars. I wonder if he fancies coming and having a race with us.
No.
You know, Caterham 420.
He's probably seen the sort of driving standards of some Caterham drivers.
420s are different. The proper guys. Ben Collins is going to come and drive this year. Apparently. So anyway, I enjoyed the racing champions.
Entertaining, funny old weekend, but yeah, good stuff. Repetitive racing, but good to see them all.
Can I talk about entertainment? Can I talk about? I've never seen such a small circuit with such big cars racing around us.
The Bush Clash last week.
Crikey! The NASCAR. It was a Bush Clash, was it? At the LA.
It happens every year. It's a big tradition. It's the sort of franchise owners' opening season party. It's always been at Daytona before. Originally just on the 2.5 miles super oval, but last year they went to the road course that the single seaters use. But this year, for some reason, they decided to go to the Los Angeles Coliseum with a 440-yard quarter-mile circuit. Again, it was a bit like the Race of Champions, really. It was sort of very interesting, but very slow. But, you know, nose to tail in 650 horsepower V8s bumping into each other. It was again, entertaining and good to see. Because this was the debut of the Gen 7, the new gen that'll be with us for another 4 years. So it's exciting to see the new cars. If you're a NASCAR fan, there's a lot of interest. I mean, some of the things they put on that we'll laugh at as Europeans, they've got centre locking wheels, you know, which we've had for about 300 years. So the great 5 nuts, the gone. They've now got a sequential shift gearbox and a independent rear suspension. NASCARs have had live solid rear axles until this new transition. So they've got a 5-speed transaxles, the gearbox at the back, like most modern GT cars. They've now, which I think is a big shame, they've actually got petrol hoses for refueling. They go insane. So I love the big fat guy with a great big tank of fuel dumping it in. And I haven't seen many serious fires for ages in NASCAR. But anyway, they've gone to the safety of hose fitting, rack and pinion steering, modern steering. And all the cars, it's quite interesting. They built them. You have to buy the chassis, the big central chassis. They call them clips. So like a subframe on the front, subframe on the back. You clip them on. Amazing. Just trying to get the price down. And I like the wheel. They've got a nice big wheel arches. They've got carbon fiber involved bodywork. I'll be 150 laps around the quarter mile. Joey Logano won in the Chevy, and I think most people wanting Kyle Busch to give him a tap in the last 5 or 6 laps. We didn't get close enough, but it's great stuff. And I think if you're not a NASCAR fan, and I think it's perfect for British touring car fans, NASCAR.
Yeah.
So if you haven't started watching it yet, British Touring Car, there's now a sponsor. So if you're an Ash Sutton fan or a Dan Camish fan with their brilliant-looking new Napa, this American Autosport that's moving into Britain, you can go straight now to NASCAR and support the number 9, the Chase Elliott Chevy. So you've got a ready-made driver to follow if you're a British Touring Car fan. Because the thing about NASCAR is it is following a driver that makes the excitement for all those fans. Because you can have your driver running 30th, 2 laps behind, and he can still win the race. You're never out of a NASCAR race, all the pace cars, the strategy. So if you haven't got NASCAR yet, they are touring car fans of Ash Sutton. Go and watch the Napa car in the NASCAR.
Why can't we have Napa as a sponsor? They'll be the perfect sponsor for us. They're perfect.
Yeah, you're always fishing, aren't you?
I like the colours. They're very nice colours.
The thing is, NASCAR have now started. It's from now until November the 6th. They have 2 weekends off.
Wow.
And the Formula One boys complaining about the pressure. I know they don't change countries, but I think each state's pretty much as big as going around most of Europe.
3,000 miles from east to west.
So they just get 2 weekends off.
That's
36 weeks, 37 races.
How do you do that? Managing a family and a lifestyle, and I guess you turn up to the racetrack on a Thursday, you leave on Sunday night, but so. Maybe
they've probably got 2 crews. I don't know, because they keep all the best crews every weekend because the pit stops are so important. You've got to keep your crew together.
Anyone worked in NASCAR, let us know below or slide into Twitter. But we'd prefer the comments on YouTube if possible, because it's easier to have a little scoop
And of course,
through them. But
I'm going to watch the Daytona 500s with my Motor Passion. We have a corporate outing for very exclusive Motor Passion guests. I'll be off next Wednesday, so I'll be seeing you next Monday night. I can't wait to get out and watch them. But I'm terrified of COVID. I haven't worried about COVID until now, but to go to America, you have to take a day before observed lateral flows. You're on a Zoom meeting, and if you fail, you don't go the next day. So I'm almost going to hide away for a week.
Don't worry about it. I did mention COVID. I was just merely saying last week. I think it's wrong that Formula One. Was it last week or week before?
You did say that. Yeah, I tried to
make it compulsory. But anyway. COVID's getting very boring now. I hope it clears up very soon.
As long as it doesn't hit me in the next 6 days.
Yeah, absolutely. So, also there's still that racing in the Middle East, but
yeah, great stuff in the Middle East. The kids,
I think that's a bit disparaging children. I don't like that. This is very talented.
Very spending a fortune, living out in the Middle East. It's madness. I'd have it banned if I was the FIA. However,
you're a miserable git.
There's two series going: the F4 UAE, the Formula 4 series, and the 2 wins for Brazilians. And left, these are the names that are going to be up there in the future. Rafael Camara won 2. Charlie Wirtz, son, of course, of Wirtz, the Formula 1 star, he won 1. But the most interesting result of the F4 race, the reverse grid race, the last of the 4 races, was won by Alex Dunn, an Irish kid who's he's had a 4th. He's been up in the top 10 quite a lot, but it was the reverse grid race, right? So Alex got into the lead early on. It must have started in the top 2 or 3. But it was a huge. So there've been crashes and red flags. I mean, the driving stands are appalling. I mean, again, due to bad examples by certain people. And the race was red flagged. So Alex Dunn knew correctly to go back to the grid. But the Italian in second place, Andrea Antonelli, who's also a big star, he's a Ferrari Academy or Renault Academy, he's won a few. He went into the pit lane. Because again, these children don't read the rules, you see, because they're too young to realise. But everybody else followed him into the pit lane, all illegally. So the stewards, Dunn went round and sat on the grid on his own. He was the only car that correctly, with a red flag, went back on the grid. So after much hoo-ha, they let all the people out of the pit lane again. Again, more a 5-second penalty. So then Alex went off, got in the lead again. And he defended really well. And Antonelli, who started behind him, couldn't get more than 5 seconds ahead of him. I think he was got ahead of him, but couldn't get more ahead. So Alex Dunn won. But anyway, a bizarre race.
People are like sheep. You do, unless you do know the rules. People are like sheep. You see 1 or 2 people going in, and you think, I've got to go in.
But good news for Britain, because Aidan Neate, our leading driver out there, he picked up 3 more podiums. He's not won one. He was leading the last lap of one of the races when Camara, I think, wheel banged with him. So he's nearly won. But he's taken the lead of the championship by lots of steady podiums. He had 3 more podiums this weekend. So good news for Britain that Neate's leading the F4. We don't have anyone in the other series that's doing the Formula Regional Asia, which is the other series. They're both at the same track. So they've still got 2 more weekends of this. Wins for the Colombian Sebastian Montoya, son of Juan Pablo, the Swede Dino Beganovic, and the Monegasque Arthur Leclerc, brother of Charles Leclerc. Of course, he's stretched his lead in that championship. But one thing I've noticed, looking at this whole expanse of youngsters all trying to be Formula 1 stars, and in those 2 series out in the Middle East, there's 76 or 67 drivers. All out there spending, it must be £500,000 each. But this W Series, the whole thing about W Series, as I think most people understand, none of the people in it now are going to be Grand Prix drivers. Even Jamie, I think, is not quite good enough. The idea is it attracts more young girls, karts, to get into single-seater racing. And that's the whole idea of the W Series. But, out of those 67, only 2 girls are in it. And they're both sisters from UAE. They're about 20th and 23rd in the points. So if W Series is working, we're still not getting, we're not finding talented girls. So there's no talented girls in this winter series in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. It's going to be a long, long time before we find Maxine Schumacher or Louise Hamilton.
I don't think it's mainstream enough for females, for girls. But I think if you're into motor racing, and your family are, or your friends growing up, then you're probably going to be into it. Look at Vicky Piria, Jamie Chadwick, etc. But I don't think girls are going to put it on TV and say, "Oh wow, there's girls driving," because they've got helmets on. They're driving cars. It could be boys, girls. It doesn't. And I just don't.
Then the W Series just becomes a sideshow. You know.
Well, a very wealthy sideshow for those participants, and the frustration for the men that are struggling to make a salary. And I'm not being again disparaging to the girls, because Jamie Chadwick's clearly incredibly talented, as they all are to me, and the girls are. Right on it, but it's a shame. Maybe over the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, what's going to happen there with we may get an influx of girls and see our first Formula One female star joining the grid as well, which would be good.
Still many years away.
Did you see?
Unless, of course, Jamie, gets a huge backer, she could buy her way in, same as she won't Russian boy.
She wouldn't do that because she's too competitive. She doesn't want to be.
I think she's still trying to get into Formula 3, which is good to hear, because that's what they have to do. We have to get a girl, a woman, into Formula 3 and Formula 2. Lady.
She, her.
But anyway, so talking of pointless series, the only race this weekend is Formula E. No, I shouldn't have said that. Sideshows, another sideshow, the F, which is a good place for men that want to go and earn a lot of money and race in a very professional series. In Mexico City.
That'd be quite nice to go to that one. Why don't we get invited to any of this stuff?
Because we slag them off.
You slag them off. I speak very positively about them.
Actually, Mexico City track is one of the better Formula E races because it's half out on a proper racetrack.
Well, Formula E has all the ingredients to be a phenomenal series, but it's not racing. When you've got to conserve power, that's not a race. So it has everything. It's got sexy cars, it's got razzmatazz, it's got amazing drivers, but again, nice locations, but it's just not racing.
I'll tell you Mexico, the crowds, and the only thing Formula E love going to Mexico, the crowds they get. Mexicans just, the Formula One, that stadium section, even Formula E, they're all out there going mental, they love it. But there's no Mexican drivers there. There used to be a Mexican driver in Formula E. There might be one now still.
La Cucaracha.
You're making them up now.
You know what La Cucaracha is? You know the song?
No.
La Cucaracha.
No.
Cockroach. The cockroach. That's what you think about.
What the Mexicans sing about a cockroach?
La cucaracha, la cucaracha.
Why have they made a song about a cockroach?
I don't know. Do you go on Instagram very often? You're on Instagram. You're a big deal on Instagram. But
I don't. I just look.
Okay, because somebody tagged you on a post. Because from the Race of Remembrance we did in November, he wants your comment.
I saw that. Yeah, but was that you that hit him?
No, it wasn't me. I don't hit people. It was.
I did watch it.
Yes, it was our guest from. He was.
It was your car. It was your car.
It was the Lovecars car, the Paddle Cars Lovecars car.
Was that
Danny Holland was driving it? Who's our guest from Mission Motorsport? He's got PTSD, served in Afghanistan, and this guy is still going on about it now. It's just November. He's still going on. You hit my car.
It was a classic. Just he just moved in, turned in, and your car was already there. Was by the looks of it. It was just a biff. It was a classic traffic, because he was obviously a slower car.
A much slower car, turning in, and should Dan have?
He's already committed. He's already committed.
And I see it from both sides, and I feel sorry for the guy. There's nothing worse. Somebody damages your car.
Did it put them out of the race? I mean, how bad?
No, he didn't. They finished third on the podium. Those guys. So it didn't ruin their race. It just affected it a little bit. But and apparently, so I'm told by a very so inside information is that he only damaged his car because he carried on driving, which you and I would do anyway. But the damage occurred by keep driving anyway.
Anyway. So all we got to do is talk about next week. So I'd be very nice. There's Formula E. I shall watch. The qualifying is good, Formula E. And we'll see how the race goes.
Because my party's just arrived. I can hear the doorbell going. Formula E next week. And we're going to ask you questions next week, as we were going to do this week. So
what about my packing for Daytona?
I got to go. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Paul.
Cheers. Cheers, guys. Bye.